So this is an impromptu podcast. I'm basically just gonna rattle off what's off the top of my head right now. Um, so there's gonna be a lot of ums and oohs and ahs as I kind of fill in the gaps. So I ask that you be a little bit patient because it's kind of part of my speech patterns. I recently came back from Magfest, about 40,000 people. I'm not too particularly keen on large groups of people. I have a kind of acute social anxiety disorder. So if I have more than like a few faces in my face at one time, I kind of get apprehensive. And well, I've been trying to work on that for the majority of my life. Um, so that being said, I had a relatively okay time. There was a couple of hiccups, a couple of times where that said anxiety disorder kicked in. But other than that, fine. Uh, let's see. Kind of reflecting on the nature of it, I realize that there's a lot more about the nature of social interaction that I'm still kind of working on. So I guess this is turning into kind of like a very about myself type of thing, which is more of a diary type of entry than what I'm normally used to. So there's going to be a lot more pauses because as I try to think about what I'm willing to reveal about my own character and what I would like to talk about and what I'm comfortable in talking about. So, anyways, yeah. Regarding Magfest, I guess, which is the most relevant and most recent event that's happened. Uh, the experience was okay. Um, it was a lot more low key than it was in later years, which I kind of appreciate because, as I've said before, high energy environments tend to drain me very, very quickly and makes me very, very cranky. So, I guess I was kind of appreciative for the fact that most people tended to do their own thing and was a lot less hyper active and whatnot. I met a lot of people that I haven't seen in a long time. I was grateful for that. As you grow older, well, I use you in the universal sense, but as you and I, or as one grows older, we start appreciating the natures of our social interactions and our relationships a lot more, and we kind of make it a more deeper and involved experience as we kind of glean who's important to our lives, who we find integral, whose relationships we truly treasure, and who's kind of on the periphery. And there was a lot of that experience this convention. So I kind of appreciate the fact that as I grow older, I kind of come to understand what relationships I cherish the most. Um, which brings everything in a lot into perspective. Uh, let's see. Also, I've realized that I'm incredibly bad at meeting new people. So those that had to deal with my awkward interactions, I apologize. I realize that I'm very much more introverted than I normally am around people that are relatively new. So it takes a lot for me to get out of my shell. Um, so I guess that's kind of what the point of these blogcasts are, as a kind of self-medicating technique to help me become a lot more open, a lot more out there, and less in my like contemplating an intrapersonal type of shell. Uh, let's see. Regarding the nature of hero worship, because there was a lot of hero worship at Magfest. There was a lot of big people like Game Grumps, like Two Best Friends, that type of thing. And I had the opportunity and a couple times to meet these said celebrities. And the more I progress in life, the more I realize how completely ridiculous hero worship is. Um, and there was a couple of celebrities who I will not mention, um, who seem to expect a type of hero worship where they drop their name, and then they expected me to be like, oh wow, you're that person from there, and I just looked at him and I was like, oh yeah, I like your show. But don't expect me to worship the ground you walk on, because I find that to be a ridiculous and fruitless endeavor. I mean, we are all human beings on this planet. We all have a finite lifespan. There's only a certain amount of time that we have in order to accomplish things, and obviously some people will be a lot more in the public eye than others, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're a better or, a more deified version of humanity than the other person. It's just a simple matter of fact that, we're all human beings, and therefore it's ridiculous to extol the virtues of another person just because they're more in the public eye than, the average Johnny on the block. So as a result, I guess I kind of disappointed them in my reaction. So I'm not going to say who it is, but if you know who you are, and listening to this podcast, which I highly doubt because of the fact that you're so big and above things that you wouldn't probably see this particular podcast. But if you do, I don't apologize. But I do respect you as a person, and I do acknowledge your level of success given the fact that you are a minor celebrity on a popular social media website. Good for you. You've accomplished something in your life. And I don't mean that as, a put down. I mean that as, I'm genuinely happy for you and your success in what you set it out to do. And that sort of sets my mind into the direction of memes and the concept of prolificating oneself and one's ideas through the means of the public conscience. And what that means is achieving a certain sense of immortality through the public consciousness. That it's a very human experience for us to want to exist beyond the constraints of our physical world, i.e., to have a sense of lingering attachment to this world after we die. Um, and I'll avoid getting too grimdark here, and I'll avoid going into too much of a description of what I'm talking about, just because of just by merit of the fact that this is kind of an impromptu blogcast, and I haven't completely cohesified my topic right now. I'm just kind of shotgunning it, as I've mentioned before. Richard Dawkins talks a lot about the concept of the meme, in which we have a prolific, or not a prolific, a very pronounced idea in the public consciousness that exists, then that is attributed to an individual or a group of individuals, that becomes pervasive and a mainstay within the society in which it was constructed. That can take many forms. The concept of that can be written down in a book, that can be written in song, that can just be, a simple colloquial saying that takes off within the society and ultimately becomes, a very big cultural aspect of it. The importance is that the meme becomes accepted within a social group or structure. For example, well, there are many examples. The Harry Potter series would be an example of a meme, in that J.K. Rowling has a certain piece of immortality in the public eye now that she's written a very, very successful series of books. And there is a lot of ideas within those books that are, prolificated in the social mainstream. Um, Again, and this is a concept that comes from our very most human aspect, which is the idea of I want to leave a legacy. I want to continue to exist after I've, in a poetic sense, left the physical shackles of my body behind, and I have gone forth into the unknown. Um, Speaking as a kind of less spiritual individual than normal, and I begin to see a despiritualization of the modern world as we become more aware of science and its implications and how the physical laws apply themselves to our world. I use that in the most poetic sense and less of a literal interpretation, more of a figurative description of how a person may perceive this life. But this relates back to Magfest and the concepts of the meme. In that, the individuals that make themselves popular within their niche. For this case, the video gamer or the casual YouTuber, video gamer enthusiast, and how they cater to that particular demographic is kind of a meme in its own right because of the fact that it's applying itself within a subgroup of our society, the video gamer and the YouTube watcher, and they leave their mark through becoming popular. And I see that as kind of a very human desire. As I've said before, the concept of the meme is very human, that we want to leave a legacy, that we want to make a name for ourselves in this world for the sake of preserving a fleeting sense of immortality. Um, but to that extent, I take fault in the idea of immortality through literature or immortality through media, insofar as it's so readily accessible and that the individuals that are attempting to create this meme within the social media feels a little bit forced, um, less a work of its own merit and more of a work of its own prolificness. You make thousands upon thousands of videos a day, and eventually something will stick and something will um, become a part of the public consciousness. And it's less of a work of merit and more of a work of extension. If you throw enough stuff at a wall, eventually something will stick. That is not to say that the whole of the experience and the whole of the individuals attempting to create these memes and create these little shows on YouTube are not in themselves talented, because they are talented entertainers in a way. They have to maintain the attention of the audience for an extended period of time. And in this day and age where, constant visual and audio stimuli is very, very pronounced to the extent that it becomes kind of hard to focus on one such thing. I mean, we start to see a lot of like stimulus overload and a lot of symptoms of stimulus overload nowadays. I mean, when was the last time you watched a video for more than 10 minutes before you started wandering off outside of the construct of like it's a movie or something else? It's we expect stimuli. If we and I did this experiment a little while ago where you sit in a room for about 10-20 minutes, sans stimuli, and you start going crazy because of the fact that your brain is just so attuned nowadays to experiencing so much stimuli that it actually begins to expect it. And when you deprive yourself of that constant stimulus happening, that constant amount of stuff happening in the background, you I felt a little bit anxious. I expected that type of stimulus or background noise. And when I was deprived of that, I began to become a little bit more anxious and a little bit more expectant towards the resuming of that particular background noise. So I kind of, you know, as a kind of like offhanded remark, I mean, go ahead and try that. Put yourself in a room without too much stimulus, with like a book or something, and see that my experience, it may be similar to yours. And that's an aside. Like I said before, I'm very much shotgunning this whole thing. Um, but anyways, I just wanted to comment on the nature of the YouTube celebrity and the concept of uh, these new pervading memes that seem to be taking off in this particular medium just because of the fact that it's so easy to explore this particular media path because it's accessible, um, and a lot of people indulge in it. I mean, I'm not saying that I myself do not engage in these particular activities. I mean, I do. I mean, hence why I upload it to YouTube. But, anyways, more on the. Now I'm kind of rambling, but more on the concept of, um, like, this particular podcast in general. I think what we're going to be doing, or by we I mean myself and whoever else is interested in contributing to this particular ad hoc project, will be doing is that I will ask that you guys offer me some kind of topic. I will do my best to research it, and I will comment upon the nature of it. Um, those that are interested in helping out with this, I would not expect, but I would appreciate it if you drop me a line, either by contacting me through my phone. Those that have my phone number can contact me, obviously, but or contact me via Facebook or email. My email is objectiveirony@gmail.com, so I can get an idea of who would be interested in contributing to this project. Thank you for your time. I think this Ramble Fest has gone on longer than it should have, but all right. This is Zub, simply saying think for yourself, and thank you for your continued support.